and outlining health and safety protocols. Notably, the document doesn't address what triggers a decision to suspend the season, but it does indicate that a small or expected number of COVID cases would not require a decision to halt play. Now, as part of the protocols, any player who tests positive cannot participate in any team activity for at least 10 days, and players with severe cases or those hospitalized will be observed for at least 3 full days before returning. Travel parties will be limited to 45 members, including 17 players. So we're joined now by senior NBA insider Adrian Woj. Woj, nearly 140 pages involved in the protocol sent out by the league to teams. What are the biggest concerns that you are hearing?
Ryan, in conversations with team presidents, general managers, they're just trying to plow through those 140 pages and understand it fully, because NBA general managers see what's happening in the NFL. They saw in baseball, when, there are teams who are fined, who are facing losses of draft picks, based on not complying with the rules. So they want to fully understand how to implement this in their organizations. And, a big difference now for NBA teams is they're going to be on the road traveling. They don't have the protection of a bubble. And just trying to make sure that not just when they have the players with them, but when the players are away from them, either on the road or at home, and they come in contact with those who might have the virus, how that impacts their teams and locker rooms. But there is just a lot for teams to get their arms around now, and that's really what they're trying to get through here as players are starting to return and camp is on the cusp of starting.
So many more variables for them to deal with than when they were inside that bubble. We'll see how they manage it. Now, you reported last week that free agent Anthony Davis would not resign right away with the Lakers, that it extended until past Thanksgiving. Past Thanksgiving, where do things stand?
Yeah, Anthony Davis, his agent, Rich Paul with Clutch Sports, they're still talking with the Lakers, and you can expect the deal's going to get done here, before the Lakers formally start their camp closer to the weekend. I think Anthony Davis wants to understand what all his options are in terms of length of deal, and that's the conversation they've had with the Lakers. Does he do a deal like a 2+1 contract that would put him with LeBron James and have those two, be on the same contractual course? And so those are all conversations. He can do a longer 4 or a 5-year deal. Those are the conversations they're having now with the Lakers still.
All right, and we've got 22 days until the scheduled tip to the NBA season. That is Adrian Woj. Woj, thanks.
For the NBA. Training camp opens tomorrow, December 1st, with preseason running from December 11th through the 19th. Each team will play at least twice, some teams playing as many as 4 games. The season starts on December 22nd and continues through early March, when there will be an all-star break, despite no all-star game. Hannah?
Yeah, unless they have to make up games during that time, as we welcome in Brian Windhorst. So, Brian, listen, this has been crazy times for the NFL, for college football, for college basketball, just games getting canceled constantly with these outbreaks across the country. And over the weekend, the NBA put out their COVID-19 protocols. So we're talking about 450 players who are not going to be in a bubble, the one that was so successful restarting and finishing season. What do we need to know about these protocols?
Well, Hannah, the NBA is saying that they are expecting, and it's common sense, that there's going to be positive tests. And they're openly saying that even though there's going to be positive tests, they have no intention of slowing the league down, postponing, or canceling. And they made the decision back in November that they were going to start in individual markets, that the bubble idea was going to be retired for the time being. Now, there are teams that have announced that they're going to start without fans. In fact, the Charlotte Hornets were the latest team to announce that today. But the NBA is going to try to fight through this, going to try to manage this situation, and they are going forward. And they are going to start Christmas week, and they are going to get as many games as possible to try to mitigate what you're talking about. They are not going to announce the second half of their schedule until later into 2021, so they can hopefully make up games that they know will probably have to be postponed.
Yeah, and players who test positive could be out as long as 12 days. That's several games in there. It's not just a weekly game like the NFL, so you could perhaps foresee some sort of domino effect. It'll be fascinating to see how that goes as players begin reporting tomorrow. And we have a couple of unresolved stories, really big storylines regarding the Lakers and the Bucks. Let's start in LA with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, how about the two biggest storylines of the NBA offseason? That's Anthony Davis and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Anthony Davis has not signed his contract yet. Training camp starts tomorrow, and it's led people in the league to wonder if he is waiting to see what Giannis does with his contract. The reason this is interesting, Hannah, is that the Lakers only have 2 contracts on their books for next year at just $15 million, because LeBron James has an opt-out clause in his contract. And if Anthony Davis builds his new contract with an opt-out clause, they could have anything on the table. They could go chasing after free agents, whether it's Giannis or not. So definitely keep an eye on that. He's running out of time to sign him. As for Giannis, he returned to Milwaukee from Greece over the weekend, and the expectation that the team has is they will meet with him in the next few days to discuss his contract extension. Now, it's $225 million in 5 years, but he only has until December 21st to make up his mind, and then it goes away until next summer. This is obviously a massive thing, arguably the most important thing in the NBA right now, and Giannis is going to have to address it at some point. It's hanging over the Bucks, but the Bucks are confident he's going to sign it.
Yeah, and speaking of domino effect, like you said, it could, maybe inform what AD does. And it's hard to believe. I mean, all these things coming so fast and furious. The season actually begins 3 weeks from tomorrow. That's unbelievable. Brian, as always, we appreciate the info. Thank you. NBA Donovan Mitchell and Jazz agreed to a 5-year max extension worth to up $195 million. Wrap your brain around that one. He's coming off a postseason where he averaged over 36 per. Jason Tatum also 5-year max with Boston, also worth up to $195 million. First-time All-Star in 2020, and the Lakers agreed to a deal with Marc Gasol, the defending champs, really reworking that front court. They also traded JaVale McGee to the Cavs to clear up some space for the Gasol signing. Nice and busy times right here in the middle of football season for NBA insider Brian Windhorst. So can we start with Giannis, our 2-time reigning NBA MVP, because he enters the final season of his contract, as we all know, but he signed the Supermax 5 years, $228 million to remain with the Bucks. What sort of ripple effect could that have, Witty, on the rest of the league going forward?
Well, Hannah, it's really everything. To be honest with you, we just had the craziest week of NBA transactions in league history, but nothing is more important than waiting on this Giannis extension. If he extends, the Bucks are the gigantic winners of this offseason. If he does not extend, we're going to see a mad rush and dash to prepare for his possible free agency next summer. And if you look at moves that teams have made across the league, whether it's the Miami Heat signing 4 players to 1-year contracts, whether it's the Toronto Raptors tailoring the contracts of their players so that they have more room next year, or the Dallas Mavericks making trades to clear off guaranteed money, those teams believe there's a chance that Giannis may not sign it. And so the whole league, one way or another, is sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for that decision.
Okay, so let's really play this thing forward now. Let's talk about Anthony Davis, because the whole world expects him to return to the Lakers. So how potentially could what Giannis is doing or ends up doing impact the type of contract that AD ends up getting?
It's unusual for AD to delay his signing for this long, and one of the things he could be watching is what Giannis does. If Giannis elects to sign the extension, then we could see AD potentially sign for longer. But if Giannis sets himself up to be a free agent next year, I know it seems hard for them to believe that the Lakers could do it, but that may spur Anthony Davis to only sign a 1-year contract with a player option, which is the kind of deal LeBron James is on, to leave flexibility in Lakers payroll. So there's a lot of people watching Giannis Antetokounmpo right now.
I know that as you were busy getting all this information, you probably had one eye on the football screen, as we all did yesterday, and stood up when we heard Derek Carr's audible in the Chiefs-Raiders game last night. Let's take a listen.
Eastern Conference Finals appearance. And the Lakers, fresh off the title, agreed to a deal with Marc Gasol. They drafted him originally. Defending champs are reworking their front court, trading JaVale McGee to the Cavs to clear up some space for Gasol. All right, it's not official until Woj says so. Actually, sometimes Woj says so, then it becomes official. But in any case, we're going with these stories we just told you about. Mitchell and Tatum, the extensions. Why do these deals make sense for the players and their teams?
2 foundational cornerstone players for both franchises. The kind of players that you build around, that guys want to play with, that represent, your organization. Those are no-brainers. Both 5 years with the opportunity to make nearly $200 million for both Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum.
All right, Lakers win the title and say, let's get a new guy in the 5 spot. Why was that move made?
Well, a great opportunity there. Once Dwight Howard left for Philadelphia, they